up, guys? Daniel Dopp here with your Week 3 episode of the Squirrel Report. We got so much stuff on the show today. We have our 5 biggest surprises from the fantasy season so far. My buddy Mike Clay stops by for a little bit of fantasy therapy, and we're bringing you Squirrel Stock for Week 3. All right, let's get to it. Nobody has taken the fantasy community by storm like Puka Nacua. Guys, this 5th round rookie out of BYU is just soaking up the targets in Los Angeles. He has 35 targets, 35 in just 2 games. He's the only player in NFL history to have 10 catches and 100 receiving yards in each of his first 2 games. Here's another one. His 25 catches are the most ever by a rookie over a 2-game span, beating out former fantasy heartthrob Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, this is one of the coolest and most shocking things I have ever seen. All right, so now what? I mean, if you don't have Puka Nacua, sorry, dude. It's gonna cost you an arm, a leg, your kidney, your dog, your first and second born child. Even then, it's probably gonna get turned down. If you've already got Puka, here is what I am doing. I'm putting out feelers to see how much I could get, but I'm very likely holding off unless a monster trade comes through. He has at least 2 more weeks of being a lineup lock, and after that, we've seen these Rams have fantasy-relevant wide receivers before in Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. There is risk in holding here. There always is. But I've been holding on to this Puka shell necklace for over 25 years, and it's gone from a chill vibe to an Abercrombie staple and back, and now it is paying off big time. Future's bright, baby. I said a lot of mean stuff about Mike Evans this offseason. I mean, he was super frustrating last year for fantasy managers, and I was one of you guys.
And the pass is bobbled and dropped.
But 2 weeks in, Mike Evans is averaging 23 fantasy points per game. He is wide receiver 4 right now. Listen, Baker Mayfield looks really comfortable finding Mike Evans, a 28% target share through 2 weeks. Your sketchy flex play at the start of the season has turned into a really nice surprise for your starting lineup. I am all in on Mike Evans until we see something different. Well, here's something that we were all expecting. Anthony Richardson, the 4th overall pick in this year's draft, is currently the 7th highest scoring quarterback in fantasy, and he didn't even play 2 full games. Obviously, I'm hoping Anthony gets through the concussion protocol quickly because this dude is electric on the field. 13 carries, 75 rushing yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns in a game and a half. 66% of his fantasy points have come from his legs. And the Colts, they're letting him throw, which we want as fantasy managers. If you got a freak like Anthony Richardson, guys, you gotta let him freak. And if you waited on quarterback and drafted him to be your starter, first, hats off to you. Second, the farmer's market called they'd like their gigantic onions back. Oh my gosh. If you grabbed him though as your second, what the heck, why not? Let's have some fun kind of quarterback. You now have a significant trade chip at your disposal. Feel free to start exploring the trade market for Richardson. There's no rush. You don't need to accept a bad offer, but this is literally why you drafted him, and it's already paying off. Holy shit, Jamar Chase is tough right now. I mean, guys, he was drafted ahead of Tyreek Hill and Puka Nacua. Yikes. Wide receiver 52 on the season, but listen, it's obvious that Chase's slow start has been impacted by Joe Burrow's calf injury. This offense has looked out of sync. He's still got 16 targets through 2 games. I'm staying together with Jamar Chase. Better days are ahead. We hope. What you need to do is offer the Chase manager a trade. Don't be insulting, you gotta send him something fair. But we're all emotional people. They might be panicking about Jamar. Michael Scott said Wayne Gretzky said you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Still accurate. Josh Jacobs' fantasy output has sucked to start the season. He's running back 29 through 2 games. He's averaging 1.6 yards per carry. I read on the internet that he had 9 carries for -2 rushing yards in week 2. That is literally disgusting. The offensive line was a sieve on Sunday, or as our producer Jackson calls it, a pasta strainer. He's 26. He doesn't know this thing is called a colander. I don't know how that's possible, and he's our main joke writer. Listen, I am not feeling great about this investment. After getting a ton of work last year, he does not look like the same guy. And how can he be when he's not able to freaking move before he gets tackled in the backfield? If I were you, as a Josh Jacobs manager, I might start to seek out some fantasy therapy. You know, Mike, I know you're feeling a little angry right now. Why don't you take Bosley, the emotional support bear, maybe just give him a squeeze or 2.
Yeah, all right.
There you go. See if that helps.
I mean, it helps a little, but, you know how hard it was when Zach Wilson dated my mom, and, like, we barely talk now.
Hunter and I talked plenty, but I understand that was a thing you guys needed to get through, and we are through it, which is great.
First he took my mom. Now he's taking Garrett Wilson from me. You know how much I loved him in fantasy this year. It was going to be his big breakout season. And here we are. You know, now it's Zach Wilson just ruining my life again.
I know, but here's the thing. You've got to be patient with Garrett Wilson. Things aren't going to get any worse. Garrett Wilson is still going to be a top 15 wide receiver when it comes to volume. They're still going to force the ball to the kid. He's so good here. If the Jets go out and get another quarterback, Mike, you're going to have yourself a great wide receiver on your hands. So as it is right now, you've just got to stay patient. Otherwise, you're selling him for pennies on the dollar. All right, well, what's next? What else is on your mind?
We talked in the offseason about Kyle Pitts and how he's been a letdown, and that has carried over. Now, how about a former Falcon, Calvin Ridley, comes out strong, has a good week one, looks like a star, we rank him high. Look what happens, he lets us down. I'm just tired of being let down.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I understand the trust issues that you're having with Calvin Ridley right now. He looked like the real deal in week 1. And week 2 against the Chiefs, he just disappeared. Don't know what to do. I get the trust issues, but Calvin Ridley, Mike, we trusted him coming into the season, and we know that Trevor Lawrence has these up and down games sometimes. We don't love the roller coaster, but you gotta ride it. So I'm saying buckle up and know that things will get better with Calvin Ridley as the season goes on. When you called, though, it was very obvious there was agitation in your voice around Justin Fields.
Yeah, I mean, you heard the call.
I heard the call, Mike. That's why we're here today.
I did not have a good weekend, all right? And this is ridiculous. So,
Justin didn't either.
Look, here's the thing. You know, I'm tired of it. You know, I spend the whole offseason doing these projections, studying the analytics. That's a long offseason. That's a lot of work that goes into that. And it looks like he's going to be a breakout player this season. Perhaps this year's Jalen Hurts. And through 2 weeks, it looks like maybe that's not the case. He's obviously struggling. I need to go with my gut on these calls with these players and stop worrying so much about the voices in my head telling me what to do and do this and do that. I just need to play my game. That's what I need to do.
Well, here's the thing about Justin Fields. Right now, it almost feels like you don't want to start him because he's looked so bad. But if this kid goes back to the player that he was last year and stops thinking so much and just starts running the football, you're going to have a top 10 quarterback on your hands again. You cannot just dump him.
Yeah, might be right. Maybe he'll start running again and not listening to coaches and just do what happened last year, right? He wasn't a good passer last year, but he ran a lot and it was great for fantasy. That's what we need him to get back to.
It's just all about his legs, and that man's got really nice legs.
Okay.
All right, anything else, bud?
No, I think that's all I have this week, but I'm sure I'll be back for more.
Yeah, I probably will. I got a dip that drafted Jonathan Taylor in the first round next, so do you mind getting out of here?
Sure.
Thanks. Just leave Bosley, though. You leave Bosley? Thanks. Appreciate that.
Okay, bye. Hey, wait a minute. That was me.
All right, guys, we are talking Squirrel Stock here in week 3. I'm letting you know which players are rising and falling in value, and right now, the market is open! Guys, I think the Rams watched the show last week. I said to sell Cam Akers, which is how I made enough money to buy this sweet tie. But 3 days later, after I said that here on Squirrel Stock, he was a healthy scratch for Kyren Williams. Pretty cool to find out you got a fan in the league in Sean McVay. But even cooler, if you grabbed Kyren Williams off of waivers this week, he is running back 2 on the season. He has 3 rushing touchdowns already. He's seeing a ton of work in the passing game. The Rams are going to keep being bad this year, which is great for fantasy value, always playing from behind. I know, this is the Puka Nacua show, but Kyren is going to have plenty of value in our starting lineups moving forward. I still cannot believe Sean McVay watches the show. How freaking cool is that? Fantasy stock is rising for Jahmyr Gibbs right now. I know, he hasn't had a ton of touches in this offense. He's being eased into it. But he should play a much bigger role with David Montgomery out for a few weeks dealing with the thigh injury. He had 9 targets in week 2. Through 2 weeks, he is running back 8 in yards after first contact. Guys, it is super easy to see the explosiveness in his game. Despite being running back 26 on the year, he should be an easy top 20 running back that'll flirt with the top 10 sooner rather than later. Fantasy stock is flying up for Jahmyr Gibbs right now. Many men have wished they invested in Brian Robinson stock earlier this season. Hate it or love it, nobody is crushing it like BR right now. Averaging more than 21 fantasy points per game, seeing over 20 touches per game. If you want to be into club, that's the Fantasy Victory Club, by the way. You don't need to ask yourself 21 questions. The Love Doctor prescribes Brian Robinson in your lineup. This guy is a PIMP, pretty invaluable market purchase. Stock is up on Brian Robinson. Hey, do you guys know why I used a pick on Kyle Pitts at tight end this year? because I'm trying to figure it out right now. Through 2 weeks, Kyle Pitts is tight end 29. What the f, Kyle? What am I supposed to do with that? I can't start you. Tight end is as thin as it gets. You're supposed to be a superstar. Arthur Smith, what are you doing? Stop this. He's supposed to be one of the best tight ends in football. You guys aren't even throwing the football to him. Why did I draft Kyle Pitts? Why did you draft Kyle Pitts? Everybody sell Kyle Pitts. It sucks. All right, that's going to do it for week 3 of the Squirrel Report. Shout out to Mike Clay for airing out his dirty laundry during our fantasy therapy segment. Don't forget to leave me a message at the Squirrel Report hotline. The number is real. If we don't get your question on the show, check out Fantasy Focus TikTok on Friday. I'm answering as many of them as I can. I'll also be sharing it on Twitter, so follow me at Daniel Dopp. Thank you guys for all the love so far. I appreciate you more than you know. Be safe, have fun, good luck here in week 3.